Beyond the Ring, a podcast that covers all things in the stock show industry from the informative to the insane, starring Ryan Rash.
Setting goals is the first step in turning the invisible into the visible.
And Dale Hummel.
My pronouns are he, him, sir, and mister.
Now on with the show.
Welcome to Beyond the Ring. This is Dale Hummel, along with co-star Ryan Rash.
Hello, hello, hello.
RFK saves the day.
Well, I don't know about all that, but...
He helps me breathe. How's that?
Well, that's a good thing. Because you don't do much.
I was in panic mode this past week.
You're still in panic mode. You're just trying to put on a brave face for the listeners.
No,
they don't talk to you every day.
This is a
You
lot
didn't even listen to the man's speech, so don't even start with me.
I've heard it several times. I wasn't able to listen to it at the time he gave it, but I've watched it many, many times. I like him. I don't care if he threw a grizzly bear in the Empire State Building or whatever he did.
Or a worm ate his brain.
Him. Yes, or a worm. I don't care. It's fine. I like
Look, I'm just going to say this. I've said this from the beginning since he launched his campaign. If he would do and input the policy that he has stated for the large majority, I think he would be a very good president. There are some things that I disagree with him on, but the bottom line is this, and this is what I put on my Facebook. The Kennedys are the greatest Democratic political dynasty of all time. There's no question about that.
Hillary is not going to like this when she hears this podcast.
Care.
She's not going to like it.
I don't care. It's the truth. And for him to start out running as a Democrat and then they shut him out, so he went to an independent, and now...
And they still shut him out, by the way, as an independent even.
He made that very clear. Endorsed Trump and is going to serve in his administration, and all the things that he said about what the Democrats did to him during this campaign cycle, and he was very transparent about it. That should tell you all that you need to know about the Democratic Party right now. And you know, that man, I know his voice has problems and that's not his fault and all that. That was probably the most honest speech given by any political candidate in modern history.
Yes, including Mr. Trump.
We know that Trump sometimes embellishes things. I won't say he lies. Sometimes. He embellishes things a lot.
I am so with you, Ryan. What I hope because that was a pretty big deal. Did the mainstream media cover that? I didn't flip channels. I don't know. I assume you.
Yeah, they did, and lots of, there for like the first couple of hours, a lot of people try to like, it's whatever. But then after they had the rally, and this obviously had been in the works for a long time, because I've seen the majority of Trump's rallies. This was different. This was a mini RNC.
Yeah.
I mean, he came out to fireworks and all this other stuff. It was a huge auditorium that there was not an empty seat, all this other stuff. This was choreographed very well.
And timing was perfect, by the way.
Right. They did it the Friday after Camel Toast Convention. And so this was all choreographed and staged very well. And then as the hours and the days have gone on since that, you have seen them all start to sit here and think, because the lowest he polls in most states is 5 to 6%. Sometimes it's higher. Well, you think about this. If it's truly a dead heat, like the polls say, if half of those people, let's just say half, do flip for Trump, that's a big deal. Of that 5 or 6%. That changes the outcome. And, do I think it's a big deal? Yes. Am I concerned that, when you choose to back an independent, that means that you're not for either one? Yes. So does that mean that they're all going to go that way? Probably not. But like I said, if half of them do, that could be quite possibly a game changer in the way they make it out. We have to see that he's going to go out, he's going to campaign, he's going to do all these things, whatever, all this other stuff. It could very well be the thing that sways this for Trump.
I agree completely. And I want to restate, if we get half to convert to Trump, not just half, but I don't know what's going to happen with those voters. Those that do not like either candidate, maybe they'll stay home. But as you talk about, those are probably a lot of independents, and they're usually engaged. So I'm hopeful it doesn't split half and half, and I don't think it will with his endorsement. And if he just would have came out and said, "I'm getting out of the race, I prefer Trump over Camel Toe," I don't think it'd do much. It appears, and you have watched this closer than I, he is going out on the campaign trail, is he not?
That's what they have. That's what he has alluded. That is what has been alluded to. Whatever. I mean, he has. This happened Friday, and he was at a rally with Trump. I mean, today's just Sunday.
I saw a very short clip that he was going to 5 battleground states here in the next week. So I mean, he's literally going out there campaigning on a daily basis for Trump, and when he does that, I think that conversion rate increases dramatically compared to just saying, "Hey, I'm out, I support this," and they disappear. So I'm very hopeful as well. Very.
And, and not that this matters, but the only other person that tried to run against Biden, Dean Phillips, has now come out and said that he would accept a position in Trump's administration and endorse him. So there's little cracks, here and there. But I want to, and I think this is great, and I'm not trying to undersell it, and I think it is wonderful. Can we talk about? I had so many. I have never had this many people. This is what I find hopeful or comforting. I said last week I had people texting me, but I have never had so many people text me about politics collectively in my life, or snap me, or any of these things. And I mean, it is people that I have known my whole life, or people on Snap that I don't know at all this other stuff. But like, I do think that more people are engaged and watching now than ever. And I can go back to, I remember when Trump first ran, I was very vocal about him winning, and a lot of people would like it and share it and all this other stuff. Then, as we went through his administration and the re-election campaign, not as much. Now, anytime I put something up about it, it is liked and shared twice as much as ever before. So I do think that more people are engaged this time, and that gives me some comfort. Also, I have to talk about, because now it's over. Like I said, this is Sunday. We're recording early. The DNC convention. And I didn't watch any of it, except I watched Camel Toe's speech. And like I said, I had all these people, "Are you watching this? Can you believe this?" No, I'm not watching it. I watched her speech because I did want to see what she had to say. I thought at the beginning that was a beautiful biographical speech about her. Do I think it was probably embellished? Yes, but that's fine. And it quickly turned to Trump derangement syndrome. And all she said was that she wasn't going to be Trump. She mentioned a few things that she was going to do, but not how she was going to do them, or how she was going to pay for them. or how is even possible, because most of the stuff that she puts out there, she can't do it by executive order. So she really can't do it. And, even people on those networks like CNN and MSNBC, while they gushed and glowed about her, they also said that there probably was not enough meat to that speech or policy about why she should be chosen other than she won't be Trump. And if we're on day 35, she has not had a press conference, or I think at least 35. If she just continues this, I'm not Trump, I don't know if that is a winning message this time. I know it worked for Biden, but we were in the middle of COVID and all this other stuff.
From her campaign philosophy, who's ever in charge, and I think there's many that have their hands in it, I agree with you. It shouldn't work, but I believe it is her intent to do as little as possible in terms of even a debate. And I'm not saying she won't debate, but the less she does, the better. And I think they're going to make an effort for her to not have an interview all the way through Election Day. And again, I am with you. This should not work, but I think.
Go ahead.
I think that the populace that is not as engaged as you or I or others, I don't think they're comprehending. They have to some degree at this point, and I think it'll continue to get worse. But I believe it is in her best interest to stay underground, because as soon as she comes out, it's going to be a train wreck. I think she does less damage to herself by avoiding it than doing an interview.
Well, their campaign strategy is the 2024 version of Biden in the basement. She can't be in the basement because there's no COVID anymore, but that is the 2024 version. We're going to put her out there. We're going to let her read off the teleprompter, stick her in the car, and move her to the next one.
And when she reads out the teleprompter, she's going to fix inflation. She's going to fix the border. She's a tough prosecutor. She's going to fix all the things that her administration has screwed up, basically, which is hard for me to comprehend.
I'm very well aware that it's very hard for you to comprehend because you scream at me daily. But I don't think that is enough this time. I really, really don't, because, I'm not saying Trump is not without flaws, and you talk about it all the time. But overall, I don't think he is nearly as... I think there's a little more softness to him this time. I don't think he is as in your face as he was the first two campaigns. I'm not saying that some of that's still not there. You're not going to take that out of him. You're never going to take that out of him. And because you just now got on X/Twitter yesterday, you won't have seen this, but Gutfeld did a deal on the 5, and it was probably over a week ago, and it explained that Trump is not a politician, and all of that's in him, that's who he wants fighting for America. When the Xi Jinpings and the Kim Jong-uns and the Putin, do you want someone that is a politician that's going to say absolutely nothing in those meetings, that's going to straddle the line and whatever? Or do you want someone like Trump that's going to be a little bit in your face and no, that's not what we're doing. That doesn't work for me. And it was really the best 2 minutes of a Trump synopsis I have ever seen. And I
like that. I love it. And you're right. You can't take it out of him. Evidenced by he's up there saying, actually coming out and talking about how his advisors tell him he's got to stay on policy versus getting personal. And I mean, we always wonder, was anybody telling him, let's pull in the tweets, let's leave the personal name calling out. They've been telling this to him all along, and you can't take it out of him. You're right. Has he softened? Okay. Yes, no question. He has softened. He is better.
But they call him everything but a white man and a child of God, and it's fine. So yes, I get Trump's point. So they can do that, but then he can't retaliate. That makes no sense to me.
The only reason I say not to retaliate is if it's in his best interest in getting the independence vote, and I don't know what that is. I really don't. That is my only. If as soon as that election is over and he wins, take it as personal as to do whatever he wants, attack him, destroy him. I don't care. My goal is to get him in the White House, and whatever he needs to back down on from a personal attack standpoint, I'm good with to get to the end goal. You can't have both. You were right.
I mean, this is not a cake and eat it too philosophy.
I wish it was, but you're right. It is not. And I'm perfectly okay with whatever his personality is to get exactly what you talk about in that meeting with Putin or Xi or whatever it is. But you and I are not the populace. We're not the independents. And I don't know where they're at on that particular issue or point.
Did you see that Israel shoots up targets in Lebanon? Isn't that great?
I wanted to talk about this. Yes, you knew it was coming. Didn't you?
There you go.
Do you know how many billions? Do you know how many billions of dollars we're spending on Israel's defense? Their missiles that they're shooting, maybe some of the missiles that are coming into Israel that were left in Afghanistan, by the way, that we also paid for. Obviously, the war in Ukraine, we're sending a lot of dollars and a lot of missiles, military, everything you can imagine. And this is crap. And I want to shove a missile up Putin's ass or right up into Iran more than anybody. I'm good with that. But it would have been far better off, and Trump has said this so many times, if somebody in the White House had any strength, or we came across as a country with any strength, and we built that military up, we spent that money on building our military and showed that, hey, we are a superpower, we will use this as a deterrent and don't cross that line. All of a sudden, we're not spending all this money. We're not having to funnel money to Israel and to Ukraine. And it's more than we can even imagine that we can wrap our heads around when we're dealing with a national debt that is outrageous. Bring that money back home, put it into our defense, put it into projects we need to do at home, and maybe even pay off some of the debt. And all of a sudden, we're a true superpower in terms of where we're at on the national stage, in terms of our defense. And if you have Trump in the White House, nobody's going to do these things. They aren't going to screw with you because they know it's going to come back, and it's going to come back tenfold what they ever imagined. Instead, we're in the situation right now. Trump says it. We're on the verge of World War III. I don't think he's exaggerating there. We truly are. When you're talking about hundreds of missiles from Hezbollah into Israel and back and forth and preemptive attacks on Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hezbollah is nothing more than an arm of Iran. Iran may have nuclear capabilities right now. They definitely have dirty bomb. They have some stage or some level of it. So we are right there. And I don't see a path out of it in the next few months with Sleepy Joe in the office. Ryan, do you see any clips of him lately? It's as bad as ever. It looks like he's totally gone. I know that we've talked about this for years, that there's issues there, but I mean, he looks like he's just out there in space somewhere. I don't know who's in charge. I assume it's Jill, but I really don't know. But it's not a good place to be right now. And I can think of one other thing, and Trump talks about it. Kamala, I don't know where she stands on it. She's the chameleon's jumping around quite a bit, but I assume she's going to continue her green energy policy. They just discovered another oil reserve under Alaska that is larger than all the oil reserves in Saudi Arabia combined. Can you imagine if we get Trump in there and it goes drill, baby, drill, what that does to energy prices, what that does to food costs and bringing down inflation, everything that you can imagine. You could take that reservoir. I'm all for clean energy, green energy. We're not there yet. So with that said, until we get there, we have to
Your
continue
liberal
to rely on
tendencies are
fossil.
showing.
No, it's great. If we can be green in 30 years and not rely as much on fossil fuel, sure. I think it's nuclear power personally, but maybe something else will come about. Until then, we have the gift of natural resources underneath our country, underneath Alaska alone. We could pay our national debt down in a matter of a couple of years by simply drilling in Alaska. Whether you funnel that directly to the debt or it works its way through the economy because of lower energy costs and lower everything. and stimulates business from top to bottom. So there's so many things. And I promise you, if you want to think about being a superpower and having some presence on the international stage, if we were to get down that national debt, and let's say we pay off that national debt and all of a sudden we're a thriving country, we can do anything we want and nobody's going to stand in your way because of the economic power that we would have at that point. These things seem so simple, yet there's roadblocks every step of the way. And you want to talk about a roadblock. If the chameleon gets into office, it's a mess. I know we talk about it. I know we talk about it being an extension of the Biden administration. I believe it will be worse. And I don't know that we could handle 4 more years of exactly what we've had. But if that is the case or it's worse, there's a lot of small businesses, there's a lot of families out there that are going to be struggling to the point that I think very, very hard to wrap our head around at this point.
I don't care what y'all say. We're in a recession.
I am concerned about the missiles going into Hezbollah, which you might as well say Iran is attacking Israel. That's all it is. Let's cut the crap out. That's where it's at, and it's a mess, absolute mess.
Well, this is running long, but I'm going to touch on one thing on Joe. So the reason that he's worse than he ever is because first of all, he knows he has 4 months left and then he can go to Delaware and die. He has nothing to live for.
I think he will.
He has nothing to live for. And now he doesn't have 20 people, and probably 10 of those being doctors, pumping him full of things, either medically or, even verbally. You've got to be tough. You've got to be alert. You've got to be all this stuff because he has no purpose anymore.
He's still the president of the free world. He has a purpose. We just forgot. That he's supposed to be doing something. He's no longer.
He is the lamest. He is the lamest of lame duck presidents in the history of lame duck presidents.
And I'm not talking about passing policy. I'm just talking about on the international stage and making some decisions that are going to impact the entire world.
Well, when I don't ranting and raving about Ukraine and Israel and all this other, nothing is going to change in the next 4 months. Nothing.
I hope not, but I'm very concerned that it may escalate to levels that can't reverse.
See, you're missing what I'm saying. He is not going to solve any of this. It may escalate. It may go, but like the ceasefire, none of that's going to happen. He does not care. Nothing.
I think there'll be a push from those that control him in the administration to try to get the ceasefire to happen. I'm with you. I don't believe it'll happen, at least long term, maybe for a day or two. But I think they want that desperately to help Kamala's campaign. That is why they want it. They could care less other than that. I do believe that would help her campaign.
Why would explain this, riddle me this, Batman. Why would any foreign leader listen to anything that comes out of that man's mouth right now and be like, oh yeah, I'll work with you? They know he's out in 4 months.
The only thing that they may have some concern with is if the chameleon gets into office, that if they cooperate with her now, she'll be easier to work with later. But I think it's all very minimal. You are correct. They have less influence than they've ever had, probably in the history of our country.
Okay. There you go.
How about we move on to some positive BTR JLA news?
Top 10 overall cattle. First place, Lacey DeSmith of Arizona. Second place, Tyler Poquette of Arizona. Third place, Vincent Shelby of Arizona. Fourth place, Caleb Hall of Idaho. Fifth place, Bailey Stow of Arizona, followed by Faith Campa of Arizona, followed by Gus Hooper of Idaho, followed by Kenley Stow of Arizona, Andrew Stoneberg of Oregon, and Bronson Campa of Arizona.
Do you think there's some shows in Arizona right now?
There's shows in Arizona year round.
They don't stop.
And they all sanction.
Impressive for Arizona. Very. I have some waterboard news.
Oh, good.
We just hit another heat wave in the Midwest. We were cooled off in the 70s here for about a week or so. We're back in the
Y'all
upper
were
90s.
cooled off during more than a week. We're like 130 in hell in
Exactly.
Texas. Don't talk to me.
It's bad. It's bad here in the Midwest. It's been bad in the West and the South for a very long time. When you load your stock up to head to the next show, make sure you have ShowFresh H2O in the show box. Everything you can do to hydrate your stock will benefit you in the ring and help reduce that physical stress on the animal. ShowFresh H2O can be purchased at your local farm store, show supply trailer, and at swampfox.com. It is time for the main topic. I'm going to call this one Goals Redefined.
No, Attainable Achievements. I sent you the title.
Attainable Achievements. That's good. Attainable.
People,
We've
y'all
talked
have no
about
idea
attainable
what I have to
achievements.
deal with him every day. He just. I try, and it just does not work.
I want to say that Ryan has talked about attainable achievements. I had a nice call with Mr. Matt Clays that he was for some reason on the same topic, and that's what pushed me to say, hey, we need to do this one now. But Ryan, you made a statement, I don't know which episode, maybe a couple episodes, that as stock show families, competitive stock show families, when we're off to even a state fair or a national show, not just your county fair or jackpots, but when we attend that show, if we don't end up grand champion or win that banner, we have not met our goals or we have not succeeded. I'm going to go out on a limb and say those returning from state fairs, the competitive families that are on their way home or back from their state fairs, 90% of them are going to be disappointed. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being disappointed if you're not achieving what you wanted to achieve, and that motivates you to do more things. But we do need to reevaluate and think about what some of the attainable goals are. And I'm going to open this up, Ryan, with something fairly simple, that using myself as an example, and not a good example, but as a parent or a breeder in the beginning with my kids showing, and it was about the same time that I started raising and selling show goats, the banner and winning that state fair, that national show, winning whatever show we went to was the goal. And I'm not afraid to just say it. It was what it was. In part because when my children would go out and show, that's a direct reflection of our business and the quality of animals that we have. And that is what sells. That is what others are seeing from a distance, whether it's on the pulse or whatever it may be. So I can remember a time when my daughter Tara became serious about showing on the national stage, and it did not matter what show we were competing, from a jackpot to state fair to a national show. If we did not win, it was like we didn't meet our goal, and consequently, it was disappointing. It didn't matter what other things we accomplished. We may have met one of the best show families and long-term friends in hindsight at that particular show that we did not win. Tara may have done the best job she's ever done getting that goat through the ring and presenting it extremely well. A lot of different things could have happened, and for some reason that was overshadowed because our goal was to win that show. And I want to go down and through and break up some of these things. But I can assure you, I have evolved as a person, and I think we have been able to as a business because it's self-sustaining and there's a brand there and it's helping itself. But if there's one thing that we can do as an industry or show families, it's really pretty simple for me. If we keep in mind that the goal of our industry, or the junior livestock industry itself, is to raise better human beings, then the rest falls into place. I'm not trying to take away from the fact that we need to be trying to obtain that banner to win. Ryan, you're as competitive a person as I know. I consider myself, my family, extremely competitive. I never want to pull that off the table, because if we pull off the table that we're going to every show or we're preparing ourselves to win, then we're not achieving all the things, all the good that we talk about on a regular basis in terms of work ethic and responsibility and that drive and, hell, just competitive nature. I promise you, our public schools, in colleges, 4-H even at this point, extension, and maybe even a little bit into FFA, they're backing away from competition and everybody wins, just like our participation trophies at your little league game or whatever it may be. We need to inject as much competitive drive into children as we possibly can, because guess what? The real world's going to eat them alive if they don't have a little bit of that. So there's a lot to talk about today, and I'm rambling here, Ryan, but please insert, if you could better explain for us when you had mentioned that we're going to these shows, and if we don't win, we've lost. I don't know how to put it into your words or how you had it, but please explain that for us.
And I think that you just talk about competitive families. I don't think it's just competitive families. I think most families think that when they go to a show that the goal is to be the grand champion, because that's the highest honor. It's just like when you go to a football game, you don't go to lose. You go to beat the other team, and so you go to beat everybody. And that, I think, is the fundamental difference in our industry, or it should be and can be the fundamental difference in our industry and other industries, is because when you're playing a team sport or something like that, it's your goal is to beat the other team. And if you don't beat the other team, then you're defeated. Yes, I think everyone should have the goal of being grand champion. I think that's the ultimate goal. And you should always set your goals as high as humanly possible. But in what makes our deal a little unique, I think, is you can have other goals. And, I did not learn this till I was brokering calves for several families. Because when I was showing, there was just one goal. It was grand champion, period. That's it. That's all there was. But I figured out some people, if they win their breed, they consider that successful. A lot of people these days focus on showmanship. If their kid wins showmanship or that child wins showmanship, that is considered a successful day. It can go even further if you have a young heifer and you win the calf division. That can be considered an attainable achievement. And it can even go, I know people outside of Texas, maybe some in Oklahoma, but really outside of Texas don't understand. I know that a lot of people in Texas, a brand or a sell hole is one of those goals when we get to major shows. And so, there's lots of things that we can go, and we can take it even further. I've got a little goddaughter that's 9 years old. We got a bunch of steers on feed. We've shown some. We have one steer that if that steer goes out and doesn't act a buffoon, and she gets him stuck, and we get in and out of the ring without a major catastrophe, we would consider that a win this year. And so I think we miss out on the fact that we all look to this grand champion goal and we don't set other goals underneath it. And there's nothing wrong with setting multiple goals, because I think every time that we go to a show and we can get in the truck and we can drive home and we can say, you know what? We accomplished this and this and this. Maybe we didn't get this and maybe we didn't get this, but these things happened. So we're moving in the right direction and there was some success. I think that makes everybody feel better. And then that makes everybody want to get out of that truck and work even harder the next week.
Absolutely correct. Think about how many rides home, how many families are on their way home from a major show that they didn't win, and it's just pretty silent because we're not looking at the things we did accomplish. And it's really that simple. You can take it back, Ryan, and I don't know about your personal livestock judging collegiate career, but I can promise you as a coach, we used to have the junior college contest back to back, Kansas City, then Louisville about 2 or 3 days later. And if we had a good day, or if we would win a contest, that van ride was great. But guess what? There's only one team that wins out of a very large number of teams. But if you go to Kansas City and you were expecting to be one of the teams that's going to win that contest, and you end up fourth. Do you know what that ride is like from Kansas City to Louisville? We do.
Well, we did not have Kansas City, Louisville back to back, but I'm not going to say where we finished in Kansas City, but it was not even more close to the top 5.
It was brutal when you got in the van, wasn't it?
Oh,
Silent?
It was a very, very, very long ride home to College Station. Probably the longest ride home ever in the history.
So it's not, well, hey, we had a good day talking sheep, or if we talk about families
there was nothing like that.
Wow, little Jimmy did, won junior showmanship at the state fair. That's great. And we've got to acknowledge those things. And you've brought up winning a division, or winning that breed, or getting a sales slot at a Texas major. That's what I see when I'm down there at the junior market shows. That I'm going to say most of the families that show up at those Texas majors with a market animal, that's kind of their goal, to get that sales slot. And it's a huge deal. That's why we get as much.
And when I talk about that to people outside of Texas, it's like I'm talking a foreign language. I'm serious. And I'm not picking on people because they're not in this state and they don't understand that. But so they made the sale a big deal. Literally, that's what people, when I talk about this to other people, and I get that they're not from here and they don't understand it, but you are correct. The large majority of families that attend a Texas major show, the goal is to get a sale hole.
And those animals sell well, but they're not getting rich by getting a sale hole. That's not it. It's just
it's not like they struck gold.
Yeah. It's just that here's a line that if you make the sale at a Texas major, you've accomplished something. That's something that the families, from the time they begin, those kids begin showing, that's their goal, to get a sales slot at a Texas major. And it may not ever happen, or it may happen that senior year. And I can assure you, when you're at one of those majors, and let's say they sell 13 goats at San Antonio, that 13th hole, when that judge decides on what that 13th goat is, you're going to get as much applause for that as the class winner, or maybe even a division champion, because people feel it. They just do. And maybe this is just a good example. And I can go beyond making a sales slot, or a breed champion, or a division champion. We can take this all the way back if we keep in mind that we're going to try to raise better human beings in everything we can do to get to that point. And most of that falls in line. If we strive as one of our goals to win that banner, then obviously the banner provides the motivation for the kids to get excited and do more. A lot of the other goals, the kids aren't going to realize until later in life. I haven't, and I'm not trying to speak for you, Ryan, but I can assure you, even the past 5 years, I've evolved quite a bit on understanding and seeing the larger picture, what is going to help my kids and what's going to help those families that I work with long term. I can assure you, I write more letters of recommendation now for kids for scholarships, for entrance into college, or even employment than I did when I was a professor. And it's all of those things. We made fun of the Illinois State Fair a little bit, I believe, on the last episode, and you're still very much in disbelief that we stayed there an extra week, basically required to take care of those animals in the Champions Barn.
That's another topic.
It is, and that's a long time. That's a lot of money to stay there. All of those things, and not many shows require that. However, when I stop and think about that week that my daughter Katie spent there, that we spent there as a family with the other families that had champions in the barn, and this year was unique. It was probably one of the best blending of families that I've ever experienced there through many, many years in the Champions Barn. And there were a couple key families that just went above and beyond to say, hey, let's go out to dinner, all the kids, the families together. And the fact that those kids were able to bond with one another, even us parents getting to know each other better, the relationships that are fostered.
Nobody wanted to get to know you.
Probably not. Yeah, let's take me out of the picture. But those, I promise you, and the exhibitors they have no idea right now that person or that other exhibitor that they just got to know that they're playing cards with, or went out to eat with, or hanging out in the Champions Barn, or going to get a corn dog or whatever with, terrorizing the fair and the golf carts, whatever they may be doing. Those are some of the people that 10 years from now are going to be extremely valued in terms of business, in terms of just personal relationships, even all of the above. So with that said, and I'm going to use this year as an example, those show families that we meet when we're out there on the road, and we've talked about this, the people that our children are interacting with are going to make a big difference in their life later on. I talk about now, Ryan, about my daughter Katie's going off to college next year. People ask me about, well, what college do we go to, and junior college or 4-year? Right now, if you were to tell me that you have a child that wants to go into a 4-year school, not really interested in livestock judging or any other particular activity, just wants to get a 4-year degree, I think it's worthless. And I know this is going to offend people, but for as much money as it costs, and if you're not going for a specific purpose, you're not going to get out of college what you put into it in terms of dollars and time. Do I think it's fun? Do I think it's a great social atmosphere? Sure. And a time to mature and grow up? Absolutely. But we have to be realistic about it. The people that we meet in college and the networks that we make because of that are far more valued than anything we're going to be taught in the classroom. So there is value in going off to college. It just is different than what maybe that traditional thought or mind process was, that, hey, we have to go get a 4-year degree. You're going to get a job because of it. You're going to go on. Everything that you learn in the classroom is going to help you. No, you're going to meet people. You're going to grow up. You're going to have some fun. Same thing when we're networking at these shows. These are people that if they're finding success, especially let's look at the Champions Barn at that level, they're probably pretty serious about it and working pretty hard at it. And a lot of those young people are going to stay involved in this industry. It's huge. And one thing we didn't hit on, we talk about the goals at the show. If we're trying to win a banner, we're achieving so many goals at home by getting our butt up every day, or the kids getting themselves up and going down and getting that calf in the cooler room. All of the whole process with the goal of winning a banner, and that's why we need to keep that in our goals, add to the process. But guess what? Because we prepared so hard, let's say for a Midwest State Fair, we're showing a steer. We start getting that calf in the cooler April, May, sometime in there. I mean, and it's every morning and every night, early and late. We went through that entire process all the way through the beginning of August. We've already achieved a goal. That work ethic and that sense of responsibility has already been instilled in that child. And that's no question preparing that child to succeed in life. So it goes on. And I guess sometimes, Ryan, because we didn't win the American Royal, the Illinois State Fair, we didn't win the Houston Stock Show and Rodeo, maybe we were third in class or whatever it may be, we think we're defeated. We lost. We didn't. There are so many good things that come along with it. And your statement, and I said this earlier, that there's so many people that feel like they've lost when they didn't win that banner, really hit home with me when you said here a couple episodes ago. And gosh, I wish that those out there listening would just take a deep breath, because there's so many of us, and I was one as well, and Ryan, we don't even want to go down that path. I'm going to guess when you were showing, there was none of this that we thought about. You thought about one thing.
No.
And you were programmed to think about.
I'm still that way, pretty much. I'll admit my faults. Okay. I have no problem admitting I am very, very good about knowing my strengths and my weaknesses. And so I'm just telling you, I'm pretty much still this one way. But
you met people when you're showing, but you made almost no friends. Would that be accurate?
No, zero. No, I was not there for friends. But I agree with you under the underlying things that because we're doing all this, these kids are learning things that will make them successful later in life that they have no idea about right now. And that is why you see more people stay involved in this industry than anything else. You know, if you're a parent and you have one kid that's gifted at sports, then you know that kid's there, but it doesn't mean that every single kid is going to be. And so you don't stay hooked the whole time. But most people that have shown livestock want their kids to show livestock because of just what you said. There are so many things that they learn during the process that they have no idea about that is going to make them a success later in life. I don't think right now, though, and while that is great, I don't think that's enough. I think that we have to push this other thing right now because, like I said, it has to be something the kids of this day and age, and I am not being judgmental or critical at all, but the kids of this day and age, they are more accustomed to, because of the time that they are being born and raised and all that, they want instant things. They want it instantly. They want to see the results right then. More than any other generation. You have to understand that, Dale.
Absolutely. And
so
that is absolutely why we need to do what
and so that's why I'm saying, as a family, each show, set goals that you know that there's a high probability that can happen. Always have the grand champion as a goal. Always. Keep that up there. But have other ones. So like I said, when you get in the truck, we can talk about, you know what? We accomplished this. We accomplished this. We didn't get this. We didn't get this. But what should we do to work on that for the next time we go out? And things like that. If you have, there is no limit to the number of goals you can set per show or per animal or per show season. And so I think that if we really redefine this and we think about things, and again, starting over with an 8-year-old last year, 9 this year, or whatever, it really opened my eyes to things. Because when I was brokering cattle, I had all ages. And yeah, you know, we had little ones that started, but we also had juniors and seniors. And so you didn't have to just focus on this. When I, these past 2 years, have been focused on this one child that is small, all these other, you really look at things or I have looked at things from a different perspective. And so, and I talk to her parents and I talk to whatever, and I say, you know, I think that we need to just remember that we're dealing with a very small child and we're all hopped up and all these other things. I think that we do need to set multiple goals for her, and we try. And I'm still not good at it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not, but I try. And so, but I think for those kids that are out there right now that have everything at their fingertips on a phone, they've got to see some form of success at that show. It's just the time that they live in. And so if you, as parents or as people like me that are, you know, helping a family member, etc., or a broker that is selling animals, if you can enthrust, you know what? If we do this and this at this show, anything on top of that is just extra. But let's work on this goal and this goal. And if those things happen, that boosts that kid, that boosts that family to want to accomplish the next one. and the next goal at the next show. And like I said, if we could get this black steer in and out of a ring without a major catastrophe, that would be a win for us. And that has nothing to do with placing. I'm talking about the child goes in with the steer and nothing bad happens. That would be a win for us. And sometimes that is perfectly fine. And that has nothing to do with a placing. And so think that way. And I really think that if you do that, I think the whole mindset might change some, because I do think that while I will never say that grand champion should not be the ultimate goal, I do think it should be. It always is for me. And we're talking about this, and I will admit that I'm still not good at, if we don't win, then it might have been a little bit of a failure in my eyes. But I do know I have changed these past 2 years, particularly. And if my mindset can change, I know that everybody else can greatly change.
Extremely, extremely well worded, Ryan, and that's good. And I hope you listeners really take this to heart, because I can assure you, Ryan and I are around as many show families as anyone, and the majority of us are still going home after the show if we didn't win, maybe not focusing on these other things, including myself, including Ryan. On a personal level, let's take this just a step further to explain just the magnitude of things. I can remember taking my children to the Illinois State Fair with 4 species and trying to win in every barn, truly making an effort, knowing that it's probably not realistic in 1 or 2 of those species, but doing everything possible to try to. The amount of stress on myself and my family trying to even manage everything, not even talking about getting ready at home day in and day out, but even just at the fair itself, is overwhelming. And when we get in that situation, I promise you, there was we had 2 species in the Champions Barn that year. That's a huge accomplishment, a goal, whatever you want to call it. But it was probably one of the least enjoyable weeks that we've had at a show because of all the stress. My personal goal this year, all we took down was goats. No cattle, no sheep, no pigs, no anything else, just goats. And I promised my youngest daughter, Katie, that I was going to enjoy things, and we were going to enjoy just being at the fair and around family and our other show families and all those things, that I would breathe and not stress quite as much about it. I did not do as well as I would like, but much, much better.
The brief 24 hours I was there, I do not think you made any improvement. That is just my opinion.
I did. It was better. So a personal goal of mine is just to breathe and relax and enjoy the moment, enjoy the time with your kids, enjoy the time with the other families that you're working with and their kids. And I mean, if we can remember some of those things, to do some of those things, it just makes a huge difference. And I promise you, show parents, I'm my last youngest child is a senior in high school. I know we can show at Illinois until we're 21 and some national shows, but I promise you, those that are even just getting started or have 8th graders or freshmen in high school, whatever it may be, if you don't do this and you don't enjoy the moment more and breathe, and you can incorporate all these things we talked about today, you will regret it later. You will think in hindsight, gosh, I wish I would have done this. I wish it would have been more true quality time. We're together. We have a lot of time, but driving home from a show because we were reserve grand and not grand, and that truck is silent with our children and our spouse and everybody in the vehicle, that is not quality time. Let's remember, we're trying to raise better human beings. And that is our goal. If we do that, the rest falls in place. Anything extra, Ryan? You put this into words so well today. This is one of your best.
I agree with everything that you say, and I see all of that. And I am also, and again, I am a very realistic person, and I, I think that this will fall on deaf ears to a lot of people, and that's fine too. But I hope that it does.
That's not good. That's terrible.
Well, I get that.
It's real, but
it's real. But I hope that it does penetrate some people and they do reassess things, because everyone needs positive reinforcement to want to continue. I mean, because the amount of work and effort and money and on things it takes to do this is insane. It just is at any level. And so you've got to find positive reinforcement. You've got to find ways and things that you consider a success to want to continue and go on. And that is important. Like I said, I have learned more about this in the past year and a half than I have through my whole life. And so, and I'm still not perfect at all. I'm telling you, I'm not. But I'm making effort to be better. And so, if someone like me can have a little bit of change, then I think it can drastically help the majority of the people out there listening.
Absolutely. I love it. We talk about, Ryan, in everything we've talked about here, and if it's some family that we're helping or my kids are showing personally, we discuss with our manager, Craig, and Tara's out there helping a lot of families, that we need to lead by example. And when I celebrate that class win or that showmanship win, or the fact that this 9-year-old got in and out of the ring and did it well, and everything was in sync and the animal cooperated, those are the things we need to celebrate. And by doing that and leading by example, it changes the entire atmosphere, the entire look. And I don't want this topic to be confused that you should not do everything possible to win that banner. As the process as it is, shooting to win that banner builds so many things, and that's always going to be a goal. And Ryan stated that, and I've stated that. We're not trying to say winning is not one of the goals. It's always that goal up there. But let's celebrate all of those things that we're accomplishing that are going to make those children better human beings and more successful in life. I like this topic, Ryan. This was good. Very
so
good.
Glad that you.
I know you don't like the next portion of it, but you're ready for it, and you have a sponsor for question and answer.
Yes. Once again, we would like to thank Basic Animal Health for being the question and answer sponsor of the podcast. Basic Animal Health has many products, but it has created a revolutionary solution designed to keep your animals happy and healthy while traveling. Trailer Ride is an all-natural, complete health supplement originally designed to help animals combat the stresses of travel. This product has shown to have unlimited uses, including it starts by minimizing gastric distress and calming the animal for a safe and comfortable ride. But it also boosts the immune system, supports respiratory health, and contains essential electrolytes and encourages drinking. Have one that is a stressful holiday? Trailer Ride is your answer. Want to boost the immunity before the show? Use Trailer Ride. Trailer Ride by Basic Animal Health is ensuring your animals stay strong and vibrant throughout the show. Shop at basicanimalhealth.com and use coupon code BTRJLA at checkout for a discount and help support the BTRJLA. Thank you to the Leonard family and Basic Animal Health for being the question and answer sponsor.
Thank you, Leonard family. It is appreciated. The first question comes from Brian, kind of a statement and a question. Another great episode referring to obesity in the show ring, I believe.
Yeah, I would like to hold on. Stop. Okay. So you did not want that topic. You thought we had. Do not lie to these people. Do not lie to these people. You did not want that topic. You said that we had done it before. We had not. And it has, I don't know about listens because I haven't asked Clifton. It has got more people talking than anything else. So I would like an apology from Bill Homer.
Incorrect. The only thing I said is, have we discussed this a lot?
Oh my
prior?
God.
It's a great topic. Why would we not want to talk about that?
You cannot help yourself. He just lies.
Are you ready? Referring to the obesity episode, I know you're talking more on the state fair level, but here is what I see on the county level as a parent. You know what?
I was talking on all levels. I was not talking at the state fair. I was talking on all levels.
I apologize. He's referring, I believe, to a different episode. Anyway, the obesity.
What episode is he referring to?
Which one did we talk about applauding and
okay.
If you don't, okay. I don't remember the title of it, but probably the one before. So while we're on that, Ryan, it is shocking. I didn't look, but how many shares the obesity one got, as well as the previous? A lot. Yeah. I think the previous one, the graphic and the wording got a lot of shares, but the obesity one, you're right. I have had a lot of snaps and texts, and it's interesting to me how some of them just hit so well. And I don't know if it even translates to how many downloads, and maybe we should look at that a little bit more, but it is interesting. So back to Brian's statement / question. Mm-hmm. Those of us that show beyond the county level and the locals call professional. The sad fact is, if we are half scared to applaud much when our kid wins because they're expected to win. It sucks because if we applaud our kids, we get dirty looks. I find it way easier to cheer for my daughter's friends and do so than doing so for my own. What are your thoughts? Basically, I think what we're just restate or summarize it. We're talking about, we're afraid to clap for our own, especially at say the county fair level, because they're looked at as professionals and expected to win. And yeah, I understand where he's coming from, but please guide us.
I don't think there is any reason for you not to clap or applaud when your child does well. I think that's stupid. Why would you not? Are you afraid to clap when they get a touchdown at the football game? No, you're not. So why would this be any different? Now, I'm going to preface this and say that it can go too far, and there are instances when someone is obnoxious when they win, and nobody likes that. But no, clapping or cheering or whooping when you win something, I don't know why you would be afraid of that. You should be proud of your kid. You should be proud of your animal. You should be proud of all the work that your family put into that, and that is worth clapping for. And maybe because we are in this stage of this society where people want you to be more woke, and we shouldn't. People think that you should not want to have personal success or individual success or all this other stuff, which is all bullshit, by the way. Maybe that is part of it, why people don't clap as much anymore. I don't get that. I don't understand that. I won't ever. I think you should be proud. I think you should clap. And like I said, in that episode, we talked about that. It amazes me now that even when somebody wins a class, and this is what this person is saying, no one applauds. Like, their group doesn't even applaud. Why would you not? Seriously, why would you not? Because you're afraid you're going to offend somebody? You already offended them by beating them in the class. So you might as well be proud of it.
Might as well formalize it.
Exactly. I mean, and then the other thing that really kills me, even more than they don't clap when they win their class, they don't clap when they win their breed, is after every single class I get done giving rings, I say, give all these kids a big round of applause. And nobody claps. You should have no qualms clapping then, because your kid's out there too, whether you're first or 16th. And you still don't. So no, I don't understand being embarrassed when you're successful. I will not get it. I think you should be proud. And like I said, if you have achieved success, you've already offended somebody, so you might as well clap for it.
I love it. And Brian, I understand exactly where you're coming from. I
don't.
Get it, but I
I
tell
do
you
not.
what, I get it. But if you applauding for your child offends somebody, so be it. So don't just have at it. If they want to be offended by that, they're not people you probably need to worry about what they think. Joe has the next question. This one's about the obesity episode. If you want to continue to go on about that one,
No.
I love the obesity in the show ring episode. The stock show people talk about how many of the animals that we show are way too fat, but it doesn't change, and the judges continue to use them in many cases. How does this change? Wow, that's you, not me.
What just happened last week, that's how it changes. I don't know how many episodes we've done, and it'll be 5 years and whatever. I've never had more people contact me about an episode other than this. It's just simple. And like I said, that hit Friday and today is Sunday. And collectively, I don't know if I've had as many people contact me. This is how it changes because now it's out there and people are talking about it.
People are more willing to talk about it.
I had all these comments on my Facebook, and some of them like, yeah, right, whatever. But this is how it changes. And as long as y'all keep the discussion going, and not just don't just talk to me and Dale. We put it out there for y'all to talk amongst yourselves. And that's how it changes. Because obviously it struck a chord, and I'm not the only one that thinks this, even though Dale was a little lukewarm on it all. A lot of people see it the same way. And so that's how it changes right there. It's out there now. Talk about it and keep hammering it home. And every single person that shows knows at least one judge. And whether they use fat ones or they don't, you need to talk to that person. Hey, did you listen to the obesity episode? And give your thoughts. Because until the judges get, and I'm not saying confronted, but I'm saying until the judges hear that the masses think this is a problem, it will not change. But this is how it starts. So you and everybody else out there that listened to that and agreed and shared and liked and talked and commented, you know at least one judge. Say to that person, hey, did you listen to the obesity episode? They probably didn't. They're probably going to lie and say they did, but bring it up. Talk about it so that all of those judges know that that is an issue and that is what the masses think. Don't come back and, commenting to me and Dale are great. Don't get me wrong. You got to take it a step further if you really want change.
That is exactly how change takes place. It does not matter what Ryan and I discuss here whatsoever. What matters,
I think what I discuss matters greatly.
Well, no, our discussion between us, what matters is when you as listeners talk about it and visit with judges about it, and all of a sudden it stimulates that discussion. That's all we can do. Unfortunately, I wish we could just wave our wand and fix these things, and everybody would just listen.
Well, if they would give me one, I would.
Yes. Exactly. Mary has a question.
I deserve a wand, by the way.
Oh my! I noticed that some shows on the national stage are competing against each other. I assume that would be like Cattleman's in Denver or Arizona. I'm sure there's others. Regarding the time of year, and there's overlap between such shows, as a new exhibitor, understanding the cost that goes into traveling to a national show and everything involved, how do we decide which shows to attend?
Well, see, I have a topic called Major Stock Show Wars that Dale hasn't let me do yet. But anyway, because he's afraid I'm going to offend people.
I like that. I like the topic title.
But this has come up a lot. This, to me personally, a lot of people have discussed, not not how do we decide, but like basically this is a bitch is what they basically say. And so I guess on trying how to decide, I think your location, wherever you are, probably has a lot to do with it. Because I firmly believe that we're in a recession for multiple reasons. I'm not going to go into that now, but cost, depending upon geographic location, would be a lot of it. Also, I'm not going to get into the details of things now, but I will say that every single show has a different vibe. And depending on where you vibe, that probably has a lot to do with it. And for a lot of us, it's who's judging. Maybe not for you who asked this question, but a lot of us, that is the decision right there. If I have to choose between two shows, then I'm going to the one that I feel more faith and confidence in the judge.
And it's really that simple, barring that the show is a pain in the ass to go to and unfriendly, things like that come in. But the biggest determining factor is who's for us as well, who's sorting that show. And I'm telling you, you going to that show as a stock show family, that's basically your vote, that you support what that show's doing. If there's a show that you don't like how they check you in, or they're very unfriendly, or they have a judge coming in that you know isn't going to give you a fair shake, you don't go. And that's basically your way of voting, and maybe change comes from that. And I know when I have so many national shows and you hate to set out one, but if you decide, hey, I'm only going to go to 2 of the 5 nationals or whatever it is, put some thought into it. Reach out and ask about this judge or that judge, or how user-friendly that show is. And your vote is by whether you show up or not. So very, very good question.
And I do want to say that every major show, and like I said, on a national level, they all have positive things about them. They do. Every single one. And then there's going to be something that somebody doesn't like about all of them. Like I said, there is a vibe element, but I think the bigger things are which one is the most economically affordable for you to go to. And that's not just location, passes and hotels and, all the things involved. And then after that, I really think for the large majority of us that if you got to make decisions, it comes down who's judging.
Absolutely. Well done. I like this episode, Ryan. Again, the ones
that was just 2 questions, wasn't it?
No, that was 3, I believe. No, it was 3.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I can come up with another one if you'd
by.
Like.
No,
we can have a Shrek question if you would like.
No.
Okay. Well, Ryan, thank you. Hopefully this is well received. And of all the episodes we've done, and I enjoy, there's so many of them that I can go back and say, I really like that one. Please take a deep breath and try to put yourself in a position, like Ryan said, it really hit him the last few years. As a parent, it's hit me hard probably the past 5+ years. Just listen to a little bit of what we said here today and try to take it to heart and take a deep breath and not taking away from anything, trying to win that banner and doing the process that gets us to that point is fantastic. All of those things. Do not take away from the competitive nature, but appreciate the accomplishments along the way. Until next week, be safe.
Y'all come back now, you hear?